sit back as we fill your mind with spooky true crime stories of the deranged, unhinged, and absolute pure evil murders that will blow your mind. Some places we will visit to show you around and educate you on the history. Other times we will bring you to the paranormal because the dead never lie silent for too long.
Be the last time anybody sees us alive. I don't know where she has us, but we're gonna get fucking killed.
Hello? Gina, there is a beehive over there. Do you see that in the hole?
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Hi, welcome everyone.
Welcome.
So on
Right.
to, I'm like, I want to dive into this. Like
Yeah.
on to the juice, on to everything. I was taking notes. Oh, I
Sorry.
know that no, you're good. I know that we said that we were gonna get on this as soon as it finished airing. The Natalia Grace.
Yes. And I have notes. Oh, I have notes.
Wow.
I have pages and pages and pages and pages of notes.
Yeah.
Because I kind of want to go in order of.
She has notes. I have one little
I have 10 pages of notes. Like,
hilarious.
yeah.
I have just my, taking little notes. I see that. Oh my gosh. I just have my little notepad on my phone.
I have two. I started in here and continued here. No, I'm a note taker.
So I know that last season, we had season 1, the Natalia Grace, the story from the
Curious Case.
Barnett's,
Yeah.
well, actually from Michael Barnett's point of view, because they've never interviewed Christine Barnett
Right.
on this series. And
Yes.
now we were waiting for the time to come out for her side of the story.
And I heard it was going to come out
Wow.
in the summertime or like late summer, but I think that that's probably when it was all recorded.
Yeah, that's probably when it was recorded. Yeah, because they did say like it finished recording like in June of 2023
Yeah.
or July of 2023. So, wow.
Actually it was filmed in April 2023.
Okay.
So I don't know when it ended, but probably I would assume it took them a few months
Yeah.
to get through all this.
With the amount of temper tantrums Michael Barnett threw, I mean, in the rescheduling of his interview. You guys, if you have not seen it, you guys need to check out this.
Yeah, please don't watch this video until you have watched all the 6 hours. It's 6 hours. It goes by very quickly. There's a lot of information, but what I do want to preface this whole thing with is in the beginning, I thought maybe Michael Barnett was maybe on the autism spectrum. I'm not sure. And by no means am I.
We're not diagnosing.
No, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, because clearly that's what we both do for a living. But the more that I watch him, the more I feel like maybe I don't know if he's on drugs. I don't know.
I think he's a master manipulator. I just think he's so.
The man makes me sick to my stomach.
He's very cringy. Those were the words you used earlier when we were talking.
Yeah, it's a hard watch. Like we did say it, like we've covered this case before, the first the Barnett story we covered, and we both had the same reaction to him. He's hard to watch. He's very dramatic. Like even when he's telling a story that is just like, oh, and I just walked to the corner and got a coffee. The way that he would describe it, like,
can I just walk to the store? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It's like almost like he tries to cry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to imitate him telling the story of him walking to the coffee shop. But yeah, like it's so
over the top. And I don't know if this is his, because obviously none of us know him in, you know, our everyday life. So I don't know if this is something that he is like all the time, or if this is maybe like a put on to try to get more sympathy from people. I would hope so. I would hope this isn't his personality or his demeanor all the time.
Yeah.
Not sure how somebody would live with him or
Well,
work with him or
my thing is like, I'm kind of hoping it's him all the time because then it's a real act. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I go back and forth on it.
just feel bad for the people that have to be around him on an everyday basis.
Yeah,
It'd be hard to handle.
it's a show I feel like it's a show all the time. Like
Yes.
I really feel like but I was really shocked, and I know that it probably said it the last one and I just don't remember, but kind of looking back on it, it's kind of triggering a memory, but um that he was, you know, dismissed of all charges in October of 2022. That in, I believe, March of 2023, Christine, they dropped all charges against her, which I am floored with, because the whole time I'm thinking these people need to go to
Away,
hell,
away, far
child
away.
abuse. Because it does come to light that she is the age she's always says she is. They did medical tests on her. She is the age she was originally. She was a child when they put her in these apartments. She was only 9 and 10 years old.
Yeah, so she so she says that her past is a little fuzzy, especially her past from the Ukraine.
Yes.
There's a lot of holes that she doesn't remember.
Understandable. She was 4 or 5 years old. I don't remember I have holes and I didn't.
Yeah.
It's just,
But she says from the very, very beginning that she 100% believes that Christine Barnett took this whole thing from the movie Orphan. And she reiterates that numerous times throughout this 6 hours. She continues to say this was taken from the movie Orphan. And if any of you guys have seen the movie, it's very, very similar to what has gone on.
because I know a lot of people said like, was the Orphan based off Natalia Grace? And no, because the Orphan came out
Before.
a year before.
Yeah.
So this story is not based off, it was a year before she was adopted or a year before she was born. I don't know. I could probably find out.
Yeah, let me see when the movie came out.
It had something to do with the year before, either she was adopted or a year before she was born, the movie Orphan came
So the
out.
movie, it came out in 2009. So she was
Okay, so a year before she was adopted. The
Yeah.
movie, the year before she even met the Barnetts,
right.
this movie came out.
Yes.
So she has a good idea. Also, Christine has a lot of history or background as to why she wanted to adopt Natalia. Their suspicions, or
Yes.
they're trying to guess why she would want to adopt this child just to abuse her and then put her back out into the streets.
And Natalia asks Michael Barnett that when they have, you know, a sit down, they have 2 sit downs. He storms out of the first one because he doesn't, you know, he has a temper tantrum because he was asked to basically just not use curse words and to watch how he speaks. And you can tell she has been adopted by a very religious family. Her new dad is a bishop.
Yes.
And they're a very religious family. And so she asks him to please, you know, not use swear words or whatever. And he kind of says, well, that's just how I talk. And then proceeds to rip off his microphone and he takes off.
I've never seen a grown man throw a temper tantrum like that in my life. Like, it literally looked like a 2-year-old having a tantrum.
it's crazy the way that he acts and reacts, and like, you know, and they say they've said, you know, she has to be very careful in what she asks him because he has triggers. And my thing is like, he has triggers. What about her?
Thank you. She was a child. Like, that's what I don't get. It's
My
like
God.
the whole time he was being interviewed, it was like, me, I'm the victim, me, feel sorry for me. You're asking this, and yeah, she's an adult now. At the time, she's 19 years old, asking him questions. But I'm sorry, she was a child that you put, like, he should be at his knees going, I am so sorry. You were a baby. I am sorry, sorry, sorry. Not, oh my God, it was me. Feel sorry for me. And I just hated how his attorney too tried to be like,
Yeah.
well, 3 other families got rid of her, so there's something wrong with her. It doesn't matter. She was a child. She was 8 years old. Uh,
Yep.
uh, it blows my mind how they're just kind of glossing over the whole entire fact that she
Yeah.
was a baby.
And
It
they don't want to talk about that. That's
that
one
easy.
thing that's one question that she asks that he says, you know, I don't want to talk about. I told you guys from the get-go, I'm not talking about this.
For
Uh,
re-aging, them
for the
re-aging
whole
her.
re-aging process. And she asks, you know, whose idea was it? Did you know? And he immediately starts to, you know, spiral and say, I told you guys I'm not talking about this. And he
I would
does.
think that that would be the one thing he'd want to address, like, and just
Well, I
over
feel
and
like he
over
doesn't want to
apologize.
incriminate himself either. He has to watch what
But
he's.
he's already been found not guilty. Him, they can't it would be
No, but I think he's afraid of her, Christine.
Christine, his ex-wife.
Yeah. Um, I would
All
love to
charges
hear from
against
her.
her, yeah, all charges against her were dropped, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't bring charges back on her.
Yes,
So which I would hope they would do.
100%. I really, I mean, I don't know. I'll just say that this didn't end the way that I thought it was going to end. And we'll touch on
I,
that later. But
can I
so
mention, I want to mention just real quick too, that when he was being interviewed, I wrote down a quote because it just irked me so much during the interview that he says um, to Natalia after he has all sets all these parameters, after he throws tantrums when they bring up certain things that he doesn't want brought up, and then he has the audacity to say, "The truth deserves to be told. Here's everything." So he's claiming he's laid it all out on the table. He's told the entire truth, but no, you haven't. When you tell the entire truth means you cover everything. You tell the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. That's telling the entire truth.
Mhm.
But he had rules to his truth
Well,
telling.
and not only that, I noticed that like a lot, especially the second interview when he actually sits down and talks to her. Um, she'll ask him a question and he just dances around it. Like he never gives her a solid answer. He'll say, um, you know, she'll ask him something and he'll say, well, did you mean this or did you mean that? Oh, well, that's a really long answer. Like, how much time do you have? That would take months. Like, he never answers a lot of her questions. And towards the end, the thing that really got me was in her mind, and I understand that like all she wanted was an apology from him.
Accountability. Like,
And she says he apologized to me, but he didn't apologize to her. If you watch it, at one point she says to him, "Are you sorry for what you did?" She asks him. He didn't apologize to her on his own. She had to ask him, "Are you sorry for what you did?"
that's all she wanted. That's what I'm saying. Like, why did he not go there with just, I am sorry. I am sorry. Take accountability for his actions. He was the adult. And I feel like even when he did take some responsibility, like, yeah, I did see that, but I was afraid of her. But it was Christine. There was always a but behind his reasoning, his excuses, his stories
Yes.
that I feel like it just irked me so bad too. Well, she apologized. I'm sorry, there was a little fly flying around. I'm just swapping at everything. She apologized. I mean, she at the end, I think she forgives him for herself, not for him. And
Right.
that's what we always say. Forgiveness is for yourself. It's never for the other person.
Yes.
And but what pissed me off is he took it as if he's exonerated from everything he's done.
Oh yeah,
Like,
the way that he gets in the car and leaves.
oh my gosh, it was so bad where he stands in front of his car when he's leaving. He goes, forgiveness, this was his line, forgiveness wipes it all away. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't wipe it all away. It doesn't. She did it for herself, for her sanity, but
Yeah.
it doesn't exonerate you for your responsibility and what you did to this
No.
child. I just,
No, and it's something that she's gonna have to live with for her whole entire rest of her life.
yeah.
And I want to touch on like some of the things that were brought up. He claims that he never, so she was her first adoptive family was the Chacon family, and he claims that he never met them.
Yeah.
Yet they were in the same building, and Natalia actually has memories them of them coming into the room and talking to the Barnetts. He claims that it was a closed adoption.
Mhm.
And that's like a big point. And it was not a closed adoption, because if it was a closed adoption, you would have no information on her whatsoever. And you
Oh,
did,
family.
yeah. And you did have information on her.
He had
And
all
so
the medical records.
everything. And so let's just say that he had no information on her whatsoever. Let's just go with his story. 4 weeks after they adopted her, the Barnetts, on June 3rd, 2010, there was a doctor named Andrew Riggs. He was an endocrinologist, and he aged her between 9 and 11 years old. And that's on paper.
Yes.
And at another point, she was taken to a dentist, and he aged her between 6 and 9 years old.
Based
So
and they say you can't fake that.
how's she gonna fake that she still has baby teeth?
You could see the adult teeth under the baby teeth and how the adult teeth is pushing the baby teeth out.
Crazy. Like, I mean, it's ridiculous. So that's number 2. So there's a second one.
And
Then
I'm thinking, well, oh, look at that. Yay, Gina, what was that?
I don't know. Did I say something? Huh.
Let's go across your screen. That's hilarious.
Okay. I don't even know what happened.
Wait, did we do like, I don't know. I was like trying to, okay, sorry, but yeah.
But then they take her to get blood work done. And I mean, again, how do we fake this? Like, you
Yes.
can't fake x-rays, you can't fake any of this, but they get blood work done, and she was aged at 8 to 9 years old.
So they knew
3 different doctors, 3 different times, aging her from between 6 years old to 11 years old. But yet, one piece of paper
from a family friend doctor,
from a doctor that was a family friend, you re-aged her to 22 years old. And we did touch on that in the first episode that we did a while back of her, that we believe that she was re-aged to 22 because everybody's like, where did they come up with the number 22? Well, she had to be older than 21 because they would still be responsible for her at age 21. So they felt probably, and I'm just assuming this, that if she was re-aged 22, that they wouldn't be liable for her once they got her into these apartments where she was just left on her own.
Yeah.
So
But it did turn out that because she had a disability, a significant disability that
yes.
impacted her livelihood, that they
Mhm.
were responsible for her for the rest of her life. And that's where
Yes.
all that, and it had something to do with Christine writing a book, being like this super
Yeah.
hero
It was
mother that can make kids smart. I don't know. What was the name of her book? I'm sure you
The
have
Spark.
The Spark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Her book is called The Spark, and she kind of compares herself to being a saint. She said that she deserves, sainthood, and because that she's
This is based off what Michael's saying though, too. So
yeah.
that's his recollection of her saying this stuff. But I mean,
And I kind of believe it because, I definitely think that she has made a lot of money off of her son who has autism.
yes.
And he is like basically a mathematical genius. And she somehow is taking credit for this.
I liked how they pointed out that, he knew all these he got A's in all these languages like Japanese and stuff like that. But she was the one homeschooling him, claiming he can speak Japanese fluently, which he
Yes.
can't,
No, he
it
can't.
turns out.
He cannot.
So she was the
We,
one
we know that,
grading him and
right.
giving him his grades.
And we
So
know that he does excel in math, and he
yes.
he is extremely good in math, which in working in that field, you do find a lot of times that there are specific subjects. I've had students in the past that have been I had a student that remembered all of our cars that we drove and what color they were, and he could tell us what engine they had, and I mean, it's crazy, like the amount of knowledge that they have in one specific area. So I believe that this was his area.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely
It
where there are
wasn't
gaps in some
something
where like maybe they can't
wasn't
read,
something that
but yet
she did.
no.
It wasn't something that she did. And so I think that she, with this book, and I haven't read it, nor do I care to read it, but I feel like it's kind of her telling her story, like, look what I did, and you can do this too. And so I think she maybe felt that Natalia was gonna be, her next book, The Spark Part 2.
That's what they're assuming. Like, I'm gonna take this child that has a disability and I'm gonna make her into my next project.
Yeah, exactly.
And it
Not
wasn't turning out the way she
not even
expected it to.
taking into consideration what this little girl had been through
Yes.
before she even got to the United States. She talks about the orphanage that she lived in the Ukraine, and basically like the scare tactics that they used to put them to sleep at night.
To
And
come under control.
yeah, and
Horrifying.
and it's just, I can't imagine being 5 years. I can't imagine being 50 years old and dealing with that, let alone 5 years old and dealing with that.
Yeah.
But by the time she got to the United States, she had already been through so much. And then to not even be given a chance to like unwind and decompress, and she's thrown into, these different families that are just kind of tossing her around, that don't want to really get to the root of her problem and work through things. And then she's given to the Barnetts, who basically are looking at her as a cash cow,
The abuse they put her through, they pepper
Ugh.
sprayed her, they whipped her. She had her sons beating on her.
Yes,
And there's no denial from Michael Barnett and his side. He was well aware this was happening.
you watched it happen.
He watched it happen and didn't stop it. And that was her whole point, is that I think she kind of knew that he was deep down was a good guy. Like, I don't think he was the abuser. You know what I mean? I do think he endured some abuse from her, but he needs to take responsibility for his actions because he is an adult.
Yeah.
He should have got them out of there.
Yeah.
And
And, you know, I know a lot of people are going to say, like, when you're in an abusive relationship, it's not so easy to just get up and leave. There's a lot of things that you have to look at. There's other kids involved. And apparently she was threatening, like, if you say anything, you're never going to see your other kids. You know, they had sons also. You're never going to see your sons again and
yeah.
stuff like that. So I get it. He had a lot held over his head.
The long run, even when he didn't do this, he still hasn't seen two of his sons.
Exactly.
He still kept away from him. So it, to save this little girl, I think he had a better chance of seeing his sons if he would have gotten them all out.
Oh, for sure. Because it would have all come out eventually.
Yeah.
And now you're just like, I just, she asks, like, why did you adopt me?
Yeah.
And when I became a problem, or whatever you want to say, like, why didn't you just rehome me? Why didn't you just
Yeah.
find another family that wanted me, that was willing to deal with what I came with, the issues that I came with? And because when you look at this, you can't, like, how did they not think that she wasn't going to come with issues?
I honestly think her issues would be even less if they would have followed through with all the surgeries she needed when she was younger. Like, I feel like
Yeah, that in
the
itself,
things that
like,
she needed, they didn't provide. And I think,
the
you know,
shoes that she wears alone cost $30,000.
I was floored when I heard that. Yes.
And the fact that they took her, when they put her, I don't remember if it was in the first apartment or the Lafayette apartment, but Christine took away her shoes and her walker.
Yes.
So not only is she a little person, her feet, because of needing so many surgeries and probably not having them at the age that she needed to have them at,
Yeah.
her feet like are not even flat on the ground.
No.
She kind of walks like up on the ball of her feet a little bit.
Yeah.
And to not have a walker, to not have the shoes that she specifically needs to be able to walk. And then you put her in that Lafayette apartment that has 19 stairs. She's on an apartment on the second floor.
Crazy.
And not to even talk about the area.
Oh my gosh. Even when they went there to go visit at the gunshots that were being fired while they were filming.
Yes, twice. And finally, her mom now just said, okay, we got to go. Like, we're not going to sit here on these steps. And there's just, and even Natalia says, please tell me that was a firework.
Yes.
And clearly they weren't fireworks. And it's heartbreaking to know, like, all of the things
And the
that
time.
all of the things that took place and the stuff that this little girl was exposed to. At one point they talk about, because again, I'm going to go back to, like, them trying to, the whole re-aging process. And they talk about her having a period. And they ask Michael in an interview, not the interview that Natalia's at, but they ask him in an interview, did Natalia ever talk to you about her having a period and blah, blah, blah? And he said, no, that was something that she didn't want to talk to me about. But I know that when she was on her period, that she would take the blood with her hands and put it in her mouth and eat it.
Yeah.
Who says something like that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can be manipulated as much as you are from this woman, but to repeat those things. I don't know if that was something that Christine Barnett told him to say, if that was something that came out of his own head.
I
These
think,
guys are sick
yeah.
individuals.
I think half the things he said was not things he witnessed. Based on the first season of the series, because they did go back and because he'd say things this series and it kind of contradicted things he said
Oh, yeah.
last series. But I think and people forget their lies. You remember the truth, but you forget your lies. So I think he was saying things and not necessarily a lie, but he's just repeating or regurgitating information. It wasn't things that he went through or he saw or he spoke with her personally about. Because I think
Right.
the story would be more consistent if it was something that he witnessed or he saw.
Right.
But because it wasn't, I think he's confused, the story gets mixed up, and he starts contradicting his own statements.
Yeah.
So I really think a lot of the information he received was from her, and he never addressed it. Like, to be honest with you, what dad would go up to an adopted daughter and say, I hear you have your period. Like, talk to me about it. I really think that's not something he would do.
Yeah.
But the stories that she tells that Christine makes her do at 8 years old, 9 years old is horrendous.
And the
with her
first
parents.
thing that came to my mind was, why are you trying to teach her to use a tampon?
Exactly. At that young of an age.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Even when my kids at 12 and 13 had their, like, I never said,
Doesn't-
here's a tampon, you're using it. Like, that was something they would come to me and ask me, like, hey, I'm ready. Or, I'd like
Yep.
to know how to use it. But it was
Yep.
never anything I would tell my kids, here's this is what you're going to use, and
Yep.
force them to put one
Yes.
inside them.
So could you imagine at 8 years old, and that was clearly to make her believe that she had her period.
I just think at that point, that's sexual abuse. That's not.
Oh, yeah, that's abuse on a whole
physical.
different level.
That is, to me, that it's,
And this
yeah,
woman is just walking free. This woman is just
I don't get it.
walking free.
I
I
don't know
don't,
why there aren't charges against her.
I really hope that after all of this airs, I really hope something's done. I mean, nothing can be done to him, but this woman is a monster, and he refers to her as evil. He doesn't even say her name, which is a little over the top to me.
Yeah.
Again, very dramatic. And it makes me sad too, because at times during the interview, you can see Natalia start to smile a little bit, when he talks about them meeting her for the first time and how excited the boys were, and they were listening through the wall, and she gets a smile on her face. And I just think he still is manipulating her.
Oh, yeah.
He has her right where he wants her,
Yeah.
you know?
She
And
lets her guard down, but I think it's because, what I was trying to say earlier that I probably didn't finish, but I think she saw him as the good guy in the whole thing. Like, I really think she had a bond with him. I think that's why his turning his back hurt her more than Christine.
yeah,
Because I think she felt like he could have saved her and that she had like almost like a father-daughter bond. Like, why didn't you
right.
rescue me? I think that's why she looks to him for that answer, because I feel like but I feel like you said, he can have her let her guard down so soon, and she kind of lets him in, and she does forgive him. And I really feel that she really does. Like, she wants to get past it, and I think if he reached out to have a relationship with her, she would be open to it, which is,
And
um,
it
yeah,
makes me really sad, because she doesn't know how to set boundaries.
yeah.
And I feel like she has just always been looking for acceptance and for love, and for somebody to just accept her for who she is. And anytime somebody gives her, a little hint of that, she's gonna just take it and run with it.
Yeah.
And especially, you know, somebody like that who she's had a relationship with, and she says in the very beginning, you know, when I found out that you guys were my family, like I was so excited and I couldn't wait to be loved and accepted into a family, and it's what I've always wanted. And you know, it's so sad to know that by the age that she was, that she had endured so much. And then we find out now, like, her story's not over.
Yeah. Well, also I like the fact that they kind of brought in the interviews of people who were kind of like, no, she was that age. These are the things that we saw. I was really curious as to the couple who she would play with their little boy, and they never brought them back. In the first season, they had that one couple, remember, that she would go over to the house and
But they claimed that she was, you know, touching inappropriately.
but she was just a little, now that you look back, she was 8, 9, 10 years old playing with these kids. So it wasn't inappropriate play. They were playing around. But I saw that they didn't bring back that one couple that was all about, you know, we wanted her to stay away from us after we found out she was 22 or whatever. I wanted to see her take on it, but they did bring back the older lady who was her neighbor, who she'd find her coming into the house. But now that you know that she was only 9 years old, 10 years old, starving.
But she didn't know any better.
She was never taught, and of course she's coming into a house. What 9, 10-year-old isn't going to try to come get food, you know, at a neighbor's house and looking to this older lady as like, help me. And now all of a sudden, all these people, all your neighbors are turning your back and want you out on the street, but you're only 10 years old and you have no clue what you were doing. So
And not only that, but like, you put a typical 10-year-old in that position, they're going to do that. But then you put her on top of all her disabilities. She's a little person. She's living in an apartment where she can't reach anything.
Yeah.
She has no access to her refrigerator. She can't reach the toilet. She can't reach the bathtub. She can't reach cupboards. She can't even reach, when she tells the story of how long it took her to unlock the door.
Yes.
Because it's ridiculous. So like, easy little things that, you know, a normal, I don't want to say normal, but a typical 10-year-old, she can't even do those things, you know? And she had to grow up so quickly.
Poor thing. I don't understand though, because I know that some of the people that came out to talk, the, you know, Child Protective Services, oh, well, when they re-aged her, there's nothing we can do. No, you could have done so. I feel like so much more could have been done to protect her regardless of the court. And I just want to know, where's the accountability of the judge who re-aged her, the doctor who signed the paper saying that she was older? Where are they facing any charges? Where are they at? Where's the accountability on them? Like, they should not be in the position they're in. His medical license should be taken away. That judge should step down. I don't know. I mean, maybe they have. They didn't address it in this. I feel like there was a lot of missing pieces onto what's happening now. But the neighbor who all of a sudden, you know, the friend of Christine who didn't see any of these signs, but the minute Christine starts saying, oh, this is what she's doing, all of a sudden, you're not going to help this little girl. People who turn their back, and we've talked about that before, where people try not to notice these things happening. Like, you know, we did a episode on a girl running down the middle of the street, you know, asking cars for help, half naked or naked, and nobody pulled over to help. I feel like we live in a country where we don't want to get involved. We live in our own little privileged world, and we're very hesitant about getting involved and sticking our nose where it doesn't belong or where we think it doesn't belong. And I mean, I'm going to say, even from my standpoint, working in the education field, you know, every time we're mandated reporters and we know we have to do it, but don't you every once in a while go, ooh, is this one that I should report? You question yourself, but you know that you have to. We have to do it and let them figure it out. But you still always get that, oh, yeah, I know the family. Should I be reporting this? Should I not? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, but where's the accountability in this all? Like, where are these people
Yeah.
who are designated, mandated reporters, and not even the mandated, just everybody who was involved, like,
Because I even said it like in the, in the first episode that we did. At that point, when she was put in those apartments, to me, it doesn't matter if she's 9 years old, 22, or 150. It doesn't matter. At that point, it doesn't matter her age. She's in an apartment that she is not equipped, that's not equipped with things that she needs. She
yes,
needs help. So regardless of her age at that point, age to me didn't even play a factor in that. The fact that they just dropped her off at these apartments and thought that she was going to be able to live alone and fend for herself,
yeah,
that's neglect in itself right there.
no, for sure, yeah, and
It
because
doesn't matter her age.
yeah,
Doesn't matter.
yeah, this somebody should have been involved regardless. And I know that some of the police officers talk about it, and I mean, Christine was smart. She upped and moved her to a different county, at one point. So,
And then she moves to Canada.
and then she moves to Canada. Yeah, exactly. Now I hear,
make the
I
money.
looked up, she's living in Florida now.
Mhm.
I think that's what I've last read.
I would love to hear from her though. I know that Natalia has said that she doesn't care to talk to her, which is totally understandable. I mean, who in their right mind that's gone through something like that? I'm sure that would be the last person I would want to talk to. But I would love to just have her sit down with somebody and hear her story. Like what's her story gonna be? How can
Everybody,
she fly her way out of this?
everybody has a price. I'm wondering if it takes, what kind of deal would it take for her to come out and talk? But then again, like we said, she probably can still be charged.
Yeah, she's gonna
It might
incriminate
not
herself.
be, yeah, it might not be in our best interest at this.
No, because what
but-
is she gonna say? You can't talk about this, and this. Okay, well then there's nothing else I want to talk about.
Yeah, that is true. That is
Yeah,
true.
you're not
Probably have
gonna a list of things. She would have a laundry list of things that were off the table.
have a
you
lot
know?
more parameters than Michael did.
Yeah. And then nobody wants to talk to you after that.
But I know that I cut you off in the part, but the jaw dropper of it all. Well, okay, well, let's get with the family who eventually adopted her. The family, the bishop,
man's.
his wife, the man's family. So she does finally get officially adopted by them at
She
19
does.
years old. This is last year.
And
In
she's
2023.
so excited. Like,
Oh, they are too. They have
so
their
excited.
shirts. They're crying. They're excited to bring her into the family. They've raised her though. They've had her since she lived since what, 10 years old at
Yeah.
the very earliest. They've
Yeah.
had her. So they've gone through all this with her, they tried a little bit to paint like this evil portrait of her of like, she acted out a little bit, but what child doesn't act out?
Yeah.
My son's bit another kid at school too,
Exactly.
It's like,
Exactly. And you have to remember, like, not only her age, but she doesn't know any better. She hasn't been in school. She hasn't been socialized. She hasn't been around kids her age. She hasn't been taught what to do and what not to do. All she knows at this point is I have to fend for myself. And when you get to that point and throw all of the abuse on top that she's endured through all of this, and then I have to fend for myself in these apartments. I have no food, I have no electricity, I have nothing, and I have no way to do it, provide for myself, nothing. How do you not expect somebody to act out?
Yeah, there's a difference between biological age and your mental age.
Yes.
And I think even though she spoke, a lot of people said she spoke a lot more mature for her age.
She did.
She read, she was, but her school teacher said they never had a problem with her. She was average student, but there is a difference in her maturity level, like you said, and how she would behave and how she reacts to other kids and how she would protect herself. So I can see a little bit of acting out. I mean, all kids act out, but with her and her history, it's understandable. Some of the things she was exposed to, sexually, she had to grow up fast. Also with the mental health facility that she was placed in.
Yeah.
And she was
That,
placed
oh,
as an adult in the adult section at one point. I mean,
yeah.
just imagine the things she's exposed to. But this family goes and adopts her, and I'm thinking this is the end of the story.
Yeah.
Happily ever after, she has her family. You can go on, the man's family Instagram account. You see them posting pictures of her and the family together. The last post, though, was in Thanksgiving. We haven't seen any Christmas post or anything after Thanksgiving. But she also has her TikTok and her Instagram account that you can find and follow her. She only has a few postings, but she's
It
apparently
looks like she
on
might
her
have
own.
just started it right before Christmas. Because I
Yeah.
think her first post is like December 23rd.
So it's right before all this, and she's on her own. So at the end, there's kind of like, I guess we find out 2 weeks before this airs, something happens.
Yeah. I don't know what happens. There's just a brief snippet of a phone call that takes place, and her new adoptive father is talking to somebody, and he says, I think she's tweaking or something like that. That she's like evil, that I'm like afraid of her, that she's threatening us. She isn't who she said she was.
I'm
And
hoping it's what the people like, because so then after that, of course, this is how I found the Instagram and everything. I start jumping on trying to find what I can as to why this phone call to the producers took place with the adoptive dad, and Antoine Mans,
yeah,
his name correctly, is saying like, we want nothing to do with her. She's out of the house. And I'm hoping what people are saying is that it's scripted, that they're looking for maybe a series, a TV show, or they're trying to drag on to a third season of this.
yeah.
But
If that's the case, if that's really the case, and that's why this is all happening, that's horribly sad.
I think they're exploiting her at
Yes.
this point. Talk about living through trauma over and over and over again.
She
Not
needs to
being
heal, like, and she
yeah,
has not been given the chance to do that.
yeah.
So now she's what? She's on her own? Like, who's taking care of her? Where is she living with? Where is she? I mean, I'm sure she gets money, but like,
Where's she on her own? Yeah, like
where?
I thought we determined that she needs to be taken care of. You can't just adopt somebody and say that's it. But I don't want to say that it was a snippet. And I'm saying like there have been times when I have been so mad at my kids,
Yeah,
I might have said things that I didn't
right.
mean at the time that I said them, but he's reaching out and on a recording, and I know he probably knows he's being recorded. So I'm
Yeah, of course.
best case scenario, it's scripted and they're just trying to hang on to the story and trying to keep us all on our toes. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, she's been kicked out of another home. But when I went on her TikToks, she seems happy. It
Yeah.
seems like she's living on her own because she chooses to. And I guess on one of them, people asked, "Are you happy?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm happy." So I'm hoping. I know that they no longer live where they lived before, only because of a man's post, the man's family post. There was one post where she posted about some of the other children.
Uh-huh.
Um, and she says in the post, let me see if I can find the post where she says it with the other children, but she says something to the effect of, oh, about today, 5 out of 8 of Sweets started school. I guess she calls her kids Sweets. I miss them, but I'm grateful God is doing great things in our new location. Yesterday, Genesis got baptized in Jesus' name. Bishop Mans will be preaching soon. Please, anyone that knows where we live, do not say on here. We're very excited about God in the moves he's making. Lord, you speak, we follow. So it appears that they've moved. He's going to be preaching soon somewhere. But
get out eventually. I mean, I'm sorry, your face is blasted all over public television and everybody is watching this.
I keep looking to see the updates on where they're at, but I don't see, I mean, as of, like I said, Thanksgiving they had, but like they said 2 weeks ago, that's when they added that clip in there. So it's something that recently occurred or happened.
Yeah.
But to me, how convenient right before you're going to air this,
It just
all comes in, and now we're all on pins and needles waiting for season. You got us hooked. Like, what is happening? I mean, and it's funny because I jump on Instagram and you see all, people making comments like, look at us all here, jumping on to see what's happening. And it's true. We're like sitting there, they're going to get followers. They're going to, whatever they do with that little piece of information, it's working. Here we are.
Oh, yeah. So,
I want people to comment after they watch it, and after they watch it, please let us know what you think about this Natalia Grace episode, this season 2, where you think it's gonna go for season 3. And if you have any information or know anything more than what we know, please comment and
know. And I'm very interested to see where this goes and how long it takes them to come forward with the season 3. And I don't know,
keep us on the edge.
So. Yeah. And hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully that's not the reason, but it just is a little too coincidental that this phone call comes 2 weeks prior to all of this airing. So
it's
absolutely a little suspicious to me for sure, but who are we, again,
for sure.
So, well, thank you guys again for listening. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, we're at 50 States of Madness. Our merch store is 50statesofmadness.bigcartel.com, patreon.com/50 States of Madness. And we're on all podcast platforms. And thank you for watching, and we will see you guys very soon.